Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt nothing looking back? Not anger, not even indifference, just a practiced warmth that never lands, a performance that hits all the right notes while somehow missing your heart. Maybe you've left a perfect date feeling oddly hollow, replaying clever lines that sounded intimate but left no trace. Maybe you've woken beside someone you're supposed to love and felt more alone than when you were single, as if your body were quietly stepping back while your smile stayed put. If any of that rings true, you're not broken. Your nervous system is telling the truth before your mind can say it out loud. Some relationships run on attention instead of affection, performance instead of presence. That's why so many of us reach for big language like narcissist or even soulless being, not to demonize, but because ordinary words feel too small for the emptiness we keep touching. Tonight isn't about condemning anyone. It's about getting honest about patterns, energy, and the quiet intelligence in your body that tugs your sleeve when something isn't real. We'll hold two experiences side by side without turning either into a weapon. Loving a narcissistic pattern, an inner world organized around image, control, and validation, and loving a mask, where desire is mirrored and the right lines are repeated, yet a living human presence never truly meets you. You'll see how a fragile self can hide behind flawless timing, how empathy switches off the instant shame gets close, and how our culture rewards sounding compassionate without doing the labor of connection. Most importantly, you'll learn how to step out of the loop without hardening your heart. Picture this: you're telling a story that matters. In one response, the person leans in, breath slows, eyes soften, their silence makes room for you. In the other, they nod on cue and echo your last sentence, but it feels like a mirror reflecting a mirror. Polite, precise, empty. Your body knows the difference. The first feeds your flame. The second drafts you into a role you never agreed to play. That difference, the one you can't always explain but always feel, is our compass. We'll use it to sort signal from noise, intensity from intimacy, performance from presence. Along the way, you'll get simple, lived warning signs you can try tonight, a story that may sound uncomfortably familiar, and practices to help you stay soft-chested and strong-spined whether you choose to stay, create distance, or leave. Take a breath. You don't have to prove anything or fix anyone. You only have to stay with yourself while you listen. The truth won't injure you. It will free you, and it will show you where the real love is. This content is intended for identification and self-protection, not clinical diagnosis. Let's get clear, not to judge anyone, but to give your body the language it's been asking for. Narcissist isn't an online insult. It names a spectrum where a brittle self-image must be protected, admiration is never enough, and empathy switches off when caring threatens that image. Sometimes it's loud and grand, sometimes it's quiet, hypersensitive, and covert. In both, the inner life isn't empty. It's organized around avoiding shame and controlling how they're seen. Under stress, the same defenses appear: bending facts, flipping blame, going silent, or offering polished apologies that change optics, not behavior. If you've lived beside it, you know the rhythm. Idealization, pinprick evaluation, the chill when you stop feeding the performance, until you're managing your tone like a negotiator and barely recognizing your own heart. Now, another experience many struggle to name. Treat soulless being as a map of sensation, not a verdict. You can sit across from flawless manners and perfect timing and still feel no one home, eyes that don't land, words without weight, your news repackaged into their narrative. Whether you frame it spiritually, no connection to higher self, or psychologically, performance and dissociation, your body reports the same effect. A slow leak of life force and growing mistrust of your perception, like being drafted into a role you never agreed to play. Holding both frames doesn't make you superior, it makes you honest. We miss signs because we're built to bond, because intermittent reinforcement feels like destiny, and because culture teaches us to perform empathy and brand personalities. If caretaking once kept you safe, you'll ignore your signals. That isn't naivete, it's courage pointed at the wrong project. So reclaim your energy without hardening your heart. Name what's happening in plain words. When I name a hurt, the story flips, so your nervous system knows you saw it. Set one small boundary and watch what follows over days, not minutes. After contact, notice: clearer or foggier, more alive or oddly numb. If you're stuck, widen the frame. Move hot topics to slower channels, protect your mornings, keep one friend who believes you, and save deep empathy for people who reciprocate. Your attention isn't a river to be diverted, allocated on purpose. Use soulless as an alarm, not a weapon. Stay human, soft chest, strong spine. If you stay, let reality look different. Repair that costs something, curiosity that survives disagreement, daily care without a stage. If you leave, expect waves. That's chemistry unwinding. In the end, the definition that matters is yours. Are you losing reality to protect someone's image or speaking to a mask that never answers back? Name what's true, set the smallest boundary you can keep, and place your attention where presence meets you in kind. The warmth you feel in your chest after you act, that's the reality you're after. Let's put these two experiences side by side in a way that actually helps you decide what to do, not who to condemn. When you're with someone running a narcissistic pattern, there is an inner world in there, but it's organized around shame avoidance and image control. Empathy exists, yet it acts like a switch on when it keeps their reflection polished, off when caring would threaten how they need to see themselves. You'll feel gotten 1 minute and inexplicably dismiss the next, as if your partner's heart were a storefront that opens for show but closes whenever truth tries to walk in. By contrast, when you're in what feels like a soulless dynamic, the sensation is more stark. You don't feel anyone home. The lines are right, the gestures land on cue, but the room is empty behind the eyes. It's as if a script is speaking through a body that won't risk presence, and your system quietly registers the absence long before your mind admits it. The difference becomes even clearer when truth enters the room. In narcissistic dynamics, truth bends the moment it threatens the image. Facts get reframed, timelines get foggy, and you end up defending things you never questioned before. Gaslighting doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's a velvet correction, a gentle, you must be remembering it wrong, that leaves you doubting yourself while admiring how calm they seem. In the soulless experience, truth barely matters at all. There is no tug of war over details because details are irrelevant. Only roles and results count. You feel the conversation locking into place like tracks on a ride. Your part is scripted, their outcome pre-selected, and reality is just a prop to move the scene along. If you listen to your energy, you'll hear the clearest signal. With narcissistic patterns, there's often a 3-act rhythm. The glow of idealization when you're new and exciting, the slow bleed of devaluation when you become human, and the abrupt distance or discard when your attention stops making them feel special. Your nervous system gets trained to chase the high of Act 1, doing more emotional labor for a smaller and smaller return. In the soulless feeling, the arc is simpler and colder. You are a battery. When you shine, they stay. When you dim, they vanish or swap providers. There's no shared fire to tend, only your light keeping the room from going dark. Consider the question of change. People inside narcissistic patterns can shift, but rarely without sustained motivation and real help. Insight tends to collapse the moment shame is triggered. It's not impossible, but the burden of possibility often gets placed on your shoulders, and you end up waiting for a willingness that may never arrive. In the soulless experience, what you encounter is not just resistance, it's the absence of movement. Conversations loop, promises recycle. Nothing essential changes because nothing essential engages. You're talking to the costume, not the person wearing it. Boundaries reveal the truth faster than speeches. With narcissistic patterns, limits are often punished through rage, sulking, stonewalling, or a sudden posture of injured innocence that turns your no into proof that you're cruel. You learn to tiptoe, to edit, to pick better moments while the line keeps moving. In the soulless experience, boundaries feel like you're negotiating with a pre-recorded message. You press a number, the menu repeats. You try a new phrase. The same response plays back. There is no authentic repair because there is no authentic contact, only a system preserving itself. All of this can sound clinical until you remember how it lands in a single evening. You share a tender memory. In one pattern, it's carefully repackaged to burnish an image. In the other, it passes through the room without changing the air. You ask for a small change. In one pattern, you're put on trial for daring to ask. In the other, your words are acknowledged and then quietly ignored as the scene resets. You cry. In one pattern, you're consoled until you stop making waves. In the other, your tears don't even register as information. None of this is a theology, it's a practical lens. The point isn't to decide whether someone is good or bad, redeemable or not. The point is to notice which pattern you're living and to choose the action that keeps your soul intact. If the pattern drains you, use whatever language helps you step out of the fog. Just don't let the label harden your heart. Hold a soft chest and a strong spine. Tell the truth without theatrics. Set the smallest boundary you can actually keep. Watch what happens over days, not minutes. Place your attention where presence meets you in kind. And when your body gives you the verdict, when it tells you quietly and without drama that you feel smaller after contact, believe it. Your nervous system isn't trying to ruin your love life, it's trying to return you to one. We don't fall for masks because we're foolish. We fall because our wiring is human. Many of us learned early to keep love close by, staying small, fixing moods, and becoming easy to like. When that conditioning meets the brain's bonding chemistry, dopamine in the chase, oxytocin in the cuddle, cortisol in the fear of loss, the rush can feel like destiny. Intermittent rewards carve the deepest grooves. 3 cold days, then 1 golden afternoon, and suddenly you're bargaining with yourself to win back a beginning that was mostly an audition. While that unfolds inside, the culture trains us to love the mask. We absorb roles, copy lines that win approval, and mistake polish for presence. In a world that rewards certainty and performance, it's easy to meet a beautifully rendered persona long before you meet a person. There's a tender layer too, projection. We're drawn to people who carry our unowned desires. If admiration feels safer than intimacy, we'll choose applause and call it love. If sacrifice equals worth, we'll disappear by degrees. Shadow work doesn't blame you, it hands you back the controls. Name the bargains you made so you can stop making them. Even with insight, leaving can feel impossible. Your brain hates uncertainty, your story hates sunk costs, and your heart hates abandoning the future you painted. So use one clear metric. After contact, am I smaller? If yes, let chemistry stand down so compatibility can step forward. Chemistry asks, do we spark? Compatibility asks, do we repair? Help your nervous system relearn the difference with tiny, predictable acts. 10 slow breaths before you respond. 1 trusted friend who believes you as you tell it. Write a single clean sentence about what actually happens and how you feel after, and let that be your map. If you stay, let it be because reality changed. Repair that costs something, curiosity that survives disagreement, daily care without a stage. If you leave, expect waves, their chemistry unwinding, not proof you were wrong. And through it all, use labels as wake-ups, not weapons. Stay human, clear, grounded, and kind. Real presence doesn't make you guess. It shows up, it stays, and it repairs. When you're unsure whether you're with a living, breathing partner or a polished script, start small and human. Set a simple limit and watch what happens next. You don't need a speech or perfect timing. Say calmly, let's pause and revisit after dinner. Or I'm not available for name calling. Or I can't lend money this month. Then notice the days that follow. Do they get curious and try to meet you where you are? Or do they punish your limit with sulking, sarcasm, rage, or a performance of injured innocence that turns your no into proof you're cruel? Patterns speak louder than promises. If small, healthy boundaries reliably trigger retaliation, believe the pattern. After conflict, look for what real relationships do, repair. That means acknowledging impact without flipping the script, tolerating discomfort long enough to hear you, and making a change you can feel. If every rupture becomes a courtroom where you're cross-examined for being hurt, that's not repair, it's PR. An apology that polishes an image without altering behavior is a press release, not care. Track the shape of their empathy. Some people use it like a stage light, bright when the audience claps, dark when caring would cost them comfort. True empathy doesn't clock in only when it benefits the giver. It shows up when you're inconvenient, when your truth challenges their image, when your need arrives at a bad time. Selective empathy is manipulation dressed as kindness. Now look at reality itself. When facts are clear, dates, messages, agreements, do they stay solid or melt the moment they threaten a self-image? If timelines shift, screenshots get reinterpreted, and the obvious becomes confusing, you're not in dialogue, you're inside a strategy. Healthy love can tolerate truth. Scripts can't. Finally, ask the instrument that never lies, your nervous system. After time together, are you clearer or foggier, more alive or subtly diminished? Do you wake as yourself or as a smaller, more careful version already rehearsing how not to set off the next landmine? If contact consistently leaves you anxious, flattened, or oddly numb, trust the message. These quiet experiments aren't traps. They give you clean data for your next right action. Sometimes a boundary lands, repair happens, empathy stabilizes, truth holds, and your body exhales. Celebrate and watch for consistency. Sometimes limits are punished. Optics replace repair, empathy is convenient, reality elastic, and your body shrinks. Let evidence change your behavior. Take distance. Move logistics to slower channels. Refuse circular debates. Put your energy where presence meets you in kind. You can also leave. You don't need a diagnosis to protect your life. Speak plainly. Hold a soft chest and a strong spine. Set the smallest boundary you can truly keep, then watch what follows over days, not minutes. The story will reveal itself, and when it does, you'll know exactly what to do. Call her Ari. He arrived like an answer, attentive, articulate, uncannily in tune with the stories she told about who she was. On their second date, he echoed her values so precisely it felt like fate, as if the universe had delivered someone fluent in her inner language. For a while, life went cinematic. Good morning texts before her alarm, details remembered, sentences finished in a way that felt like intimacy. When she spoke of quiet love and boundaries as care, he said, "Exactly." Her body exhaled. 2 months later, the music changed. The same attunement began to feel like strategy. Her good news turned into his monologue about what he would do next. Small requests, a phone-free dinner, a quick check-in, were met with, "You're too sensitive," followed by speeches about all he did for the relationship. When she was tired, he went cold. When she performed the easy version of herself, he warmed. She tried harder, softer words, better timing. Then tried less, fewer needs, smoother laughs. Slowly, she stopped naming needs at all. Then she stopped having them. Loneliness moved in like fog. Was he a narcissist? Maybe. Did it feel soulless? Absolutely. Flawless lines, no one home behind the eyes, apologies that sparkled and changed nothing. The spell broke when, after she shared how childhood taught her to predict everyone's needs, he called her intense and made her apology the solution. A clear bell rang inside. The fix wasn't more effort, it was truth. The truth was a boundary. When my experience is minimized, I'm going to pause and take space. He mocked it as therapy talk. She didn't argue. She paused anyway. Texts, then silence, then a performance of injured innocence followed. The older Ari would have rushed back. The newer one took a walk, breathed, and wrote down what actually happened so her mind couldn't rewrite it. She repeated the boundary. He laughed. She ended the call. 2 weeks later, he posted a new soulmate. 2 months later, Ari had a nervous system again. Healing wasn't tidy. Nights were highlight reels and negotiations with ghosts. Mornings were simple. Sunlight before screens, 10 slow breaths, coffee on the porch. She told one friend the unvarnished truth. She kept a list called What Actually Happens. The list didn't make her hard. It made her clear. The lesson wasn't that people can't change. It was that she must change what she allows. She started measuring love by what follows conflict, listening for repair instead of poetry. Months later, she sat across from someone new. The talk was quieter. When she said, "I need a slow pace and straight answers," he didn't perform. He showed up that way next week. It wasn't cinematic, it was human. Ari no longer missed the highs, she missed herself less. Her boundaries became doors, opening toward a life where presence could finally meet her back. Tonight isn't about grand theories, it's about coming home to yourself in ways your body can feel. Begin by naming what's happening in plain language. When you hear yourself say, "When I share a hurt, the story flips and I end up doubting myself," you're not being dramatic. You're organizing your nervous system around truth. Vague unease keeps you spinning. Clean sentences steady your footing. From that steadier ground, act before you overthink. Boundaries come before beliefs. You don't need metaphysical certainty about who they are to take a small step that protects who you are. If contact reliably dysregulates you, reduce contact. If you must stay in touch for co-parenting, family, or shared projects, move hot topics into cooler channels. Logistics by email, calendars instead of arguments, fewer midnight texts, and more daylight decisions with a paper trail. You're not being cold. You're lowering the emotional temperature so truth can breathe. With people who feed on reaction, use a minimalist raincoat called gray rock. Brief answers, neutral tone, no extra explanations to weaponize. Save it for public handoffs, required meetings, necessary updates. Warm bonds still need warmth. Keep yourself oriented with a 1-minute reset you can do anywhere. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6, 5 cycles. Name 5 things you see, 4 you feel, 3 you hear. Hand on chest, I return to myself. Use it before hard talks, right after pushback, or when old dreams try to rewrite the past. Measure love by what follows rupture. Healthy connection repairs, not always quickly, but with acknowledgement and change you can feel. An apology that polishes optics without altering behavior is theater. Believe behavior over promises. Give yourself 5 quiet minutes a day for spiritual recentering. Prayer, meditation, decor, stillness. Presence is a firewall. Scripts can't run on a system already occupied by its rightful owner. While you're steady, write exit criteria. Name the lines you won't allow to be crossed and what you'll do if they are. That's compassion in advance. You don't need permission to choose distance or a diagnosis to limit access to your attention. Honor the evidence your life keeps giving you. If the data says you're smaller here, listen. If it says you repair here, invest. Keep a simple nightly record. What happened, what you did, how your body felt, and let calm repetition, not intensity, change your life. Before sleep, hand to heart. You told the truth today, protected your flame, and returned to yourself. Tomorrow you'll do it again. Presence will meet you where performance never could. If you choose to stay because there are children, deep family bonds, shared work, or simply because your heart wants one more honest try, then stay in a way that protects your nervous system and gives reality a fair chance to reveal itself. Start small and concrete. Grand promises are easy to say and hard to measure, but tiny agreements tell the truth fast. Instead of, I'll be different forever, try, let's put our phones away at dinner, or we'll both reply to messages within 24 hours. Pick one behavior, set a time frame, and see what happens without arguments or spin. Micro contracts are humble, but they're powerful. They turn hope into data. Keep the heat down while you gather that data. Move logistics into calmer channels where volatility has fewer places to hide. A short email about pickups, payments, or schedules does more for your peace than 10 late-night text storms ever will. Written plans reduce the friction of memory fights and make it easier to spot patterns without becoming the historian of every dispute. When feelings are high, let the inbox hold the details so your body can hold you. Don't try to carry this alone. Get third-party anchors, therapy if accessible, a mentor who sees through the fog, a group that understands the pattern and won't let you gaslight yourself. Outside perspective is not a luxury. It's life support for your clarity. A steady witness can reflect back the progress you minimize and the harm you excuse, and can help you separate a genuine repair from well-packaged optics. Guard your mornings as if they were medicine. Begin the day with your breath and body, not the other person's latest crisis. 10 slow inhales on the edge of the bed, a glass of water, sunlight on your face, a short walk before screens. These tiny rituals rewire your baseline so you are responding from steadiness instead of reactivity. When you start from center, you're less likely to volunteer for battles you don't need to fight and more likely to hold the boundaries you chose the night before. And quietly, behind the scenes, build a support map. That doesn't mean you're planning to fail. It means you're planning to be free if reality requires it. Make a list of allies you can call in a pinch, sketch a basic budget, note safe places you could stay for a few nights, gather key documents, and keep them somewhere you can reach without negotiation. You may never need this plan, but having it calms your system and reduces the leverage of fear. Staying on purpose means letting the present prove itself. Let micro contracts run long enough to show whether change is sustainable. Let low-drama logistics lower the noise so you can hear the signal. Let your anchors steady you when the old highlight reel tries to rewrite history. Let your mornings remind you who you are before anyone else tells you. And let your support map sit quietly in the background like a lifeboat you pray you won't need but are grateful to have. If the relationship truly repairs, these practices will make that repair possible. If it doesn't, these same practices will carry you across to the life that's waiting on the other shore. If you leave, expect your body to ask for the very thing that hurt you. Cravings will arrive like weather. The mind will splice together a highlight reel of first kisses and soft mornings, and some negotiating part of you will whisper bargains about going back just to talk, just for closure, or just to remember the good. None of that is proof you were wrong. It's neurochemistry unwinding, a nervous system stepping down from adrenaline and intermittent rewards. The spike and crash that once passed for love doesn't vanish cleanly, it ebbs. Your job is not to debate the cravings. Your job is to survive them long enough for truth to become quiet again. Think of grief the way you'd think of a detox, sacred, simple, somatic. Each morning before the phone and the what-ifs, step outside or stand by a window and let sunlight touch your eyes. It tells your body there is a new day to inhabit. Take a short walk, even if it's just around the block. Movement lets sorrow move too. Write one true sentence in a notebook you keep within reach. No poetry, no analysis, just a clean line like, "Today I missed the idea of us more than the reality of us," or, "After remembering the best parts, I felt small again." Truth on paper steadies truth in the body. And keep one person close who mirrors the real you without trying to fix you. Let them be a gentle witness when the reels start playing at night. You're not getting over a person. You're returning to yourself, and returns take time. Some evenings you'll feel sure and spacious. Others you'll feel like you're breathing through cloth. When the urge to reach out spikes, create a small pause your future self can live with. Drink a glass of water. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. Walk to the end of the street and back. If the urge is still there after 20 minutes, you'll meet it from a clearer place. Often it will have softened enough to pass on its own. Protect your recovery like a tender sprout. Mute their social media, box up reminders that yank your heart, and give your home a small reset. A freshly made bed, a clean counter, a chair by a window that becomes your morning place. Eat something that loves you back. Sleep as if it were medicine, because it is. And when the memory edits itself into perfection, gently unedit it. Recall what happened after the high. Recall the calm you're choosing now. Recall the list you wrote when your head was clear. You are building a new baseline, one honest day at a time. Loneliness will visit. Let it sit beside you without deciding it means you made a mistake. The loneliness isn't a verdict. It's your system recalibrating to a life that doesn't run on drama. If tears come in the grocery store or in traffic, let them. You're rinsing a story out of your cells. And if laughter surprises you at a silly video or a friend's text, let that too. Joy is not a betrayal of what was hard. It's evidence that your heart still works. There will come a morning when you realize you didn't count the hours, an afternoon when you notice your shoulders have dropped, a night when your bed feels like a place to rest rather than a museum of loss. On that day, you'll understand what this season has been for. It wasn't to prove who was right or wrong. It was to reclaim the only home you ever had. You are not moving on from them, you are moving back into you. Keep choosing the rituals that anchor you. Keep honoring the clear sentence over the flattering story. Keep loving the part of you that left so the rest of you could live. Begin with a single act of radical honesty, the kind that feels like opening a window in a musty room. Ask yourself quietly and without drama, where did I outsource my worth in this relationship? Let the answers arrive without editing. Maybe you handed your value to their moods, waiting to be told you were lovable before you allowed yourself to feel it. Maybe you made peace conditional on your own self-erasure. Maybe you traded your voice for proximity. Whatever you find, meet it with tenderness. You did what you had to do to survive the story you were in. Thank the part of you that negotiated for safety, then invite it to rest. This is how you begin to retrieve yourself, by telling the truth and refusing to punish the messenger. From there, turn gently toward the places you've kept in shadow. Notice where admiration was easier than intimacy, where applause felt safer than being known. If you've chased praise because praise never asks you to change, name that. If you learned long ago to equate love with rescuing, admit how intoxicating it was to be the strong one, the steady one, the hero holding everyone else together. If you've been calling intensity chemistry to avoid confessing that there was never a shared reality beneath the fireworks, let that land. None of this is an indictment, it's orientation. Shadow work is not a courtroom where you stand trial. It's a lantern you carry into the parts of you that have been waiting to be met. What you're doing is humble and profoundly practical. You're studying the moves you use to leave yourself so you can stop making them. And while your mind is busy cataloging insights, bring your spirit back into your body because insight without inhabiting yourself will always float away. Give yourself 10 honest minutes a day. Sit somewhere you won't be interrupted. Place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. Follow your breath in and out, slower than feels natural until the wheel in your head begins to quiet. Feel the thud of your heartbeat and thank your body, not because it's perfect, not because it never faltered, but because it has carried you through every chapter and still shows up to carry you home. Let your attention gather behind your eyes and soften down your spine. If thoughts arrive, let them pass like birds crossing a wide sky. If emotion surges, give it room. You are not trying to transcend anything here. You're practicing inhabiting your own life. The soul you keep online, present, warm, anchored, becomes the compass you can trust when the world gets loud again. Over time, this simple ritual rewires your sense of what love feels like on the inside. Steadier breath, clearer sightlines, a spine that holds your boundaries without clenching your heart. From that place, you won't need to over-explain or overperform. You'll move with a quiet confidence that says, I belong to myself. And every decision, who you let close, how you repair, when you rest, when you walk, will begin to align with that truth. This is your inner work, the only part you fully control. Keep telling the truth. Keep turning the lantern toward the places you once avoided. Keep coming back to your breath until your body recognizes home by feel. And each day, trust a little more that the life you're building from the inside out will not ask you to trade your soul for anyone's script. There's a razor-thin place between protecting yourself and hardening into someone you don't want to be. The phrase soulless being can be useful when it jolts you out of denial and back into action, when it helps you name what your body has known for a while. There is no real meeting here. But the same phrase becomes a trap the moment it makes you feel superior. Dehumanization doesn't just shrink the other person. It shrinks you. The light you're trying to defend starts to flicker when you feed it contempt. So take the clarity and leave the cruelty. Stand where you need to stand with a soft chest and a strong spine. That combination matters. A hard chest and a strong spine becomes armor. A soft chest and a weak spine becomes surrender. You're looking for the middle. Tenderness that does not collapse. Steadiness that does not punish. Put distance where there is no repair, not as a verdict about someone's ultimate worth, but as a boundary about what your life can hold. You can wish someone well from far away. You can pray for their healing and still block their number. You can step out of a loop without writing a villain monologue in your head. And if, at some point, you see a real spark behind tired eyes, let your presence be a clean mirror rather than a rescue mission. When you show up, I see you. The door is open when the light is on. That's not a warning sign or a taunt. It's a simple description of reality. You are available for connection, not performance. You are here for repair, not theater. You are not here to be food for anyone's emptiness. Holding this ethical edge means paying attention to the energy of your own words. Are you describing what is, or are you rehearsing a story that makes you feel big because you used to feel small? Are you drawing a firm line, or are you building a wall you hope will keep hurt out forever? Lines are for living, walls are for hiding. Let your language serve your life. Say less. Say it plainly. Then step back and let behavior answer. When you're tempted to score points, choose peace. When you're tempted to diagnose, choose distance. When you're tempted to teach a lesson, choose to exit the classroom entirely. You don't have to be the judge to be free. You only have to end your participation in what harms you. Keep your heart online and your boundaries visible. Let the door stay open to presence and closed to scripts. That's the ethical edge. Fiercely for your light, fiercely against your own hardening, and always willing to meet the real when the real finally appears. If you recognized yourself here, if you kept trying to love harder while feeling a hollow draft where presence should be, take this as permission to stop bargaining with what is. No more arguing with your own senses. No more editing yourself to fit a script. Whatever name you use for the pattern doesn't matter. What matters is choosing the path that brings you back to your own center. Tell the truth kindly. Set one small boundary you can actually keep. Come home to the part of you that has been waiting for you to choose it. Healthy love makes you more alive, steadier breath, clearer sightlines, a warmer chest after contact. Extraction makes you smaller and confused. You were never meant to be food for anyone's emptiness. You were meant to carry a flame and build a life that protects it. So begin simply. Write down one boundary you will hold this week. Say it out loud to yourself. Let a trusted friend witness it. When a hard conversation comes, pause for a single minute and let your breath lead. The slow in, the longer out, the quiet sentence that returns you to yourself. Choose on purpose at least one relationship where presence meets you in kind. Let that be the new baseline for what you accept. You do not have to fix the past or forecast the future to live differently now. You only have to honor what your body already knows. When it is safe, you expand. When it is not, you shrink. Follow that compass. If staying is right, it will feel like repair you can feel, not speeches you have to believe. If leaving is right, grief will come like weather and pass like weather, and beneath it you will find a steadier sky. Either way, you are allowed to choose the real over the rehearsed. If this message met you where you are, stay with us. Subscribe if you want more calm, practical guidance for inner awakening and energy mastery. Share this with someone who needs permission to exit the loop. And if you feel ready, name one sign that finally woke you up or one boundary you're choosing today in the comments so someone a little behind you can borrow your courage. The truth spoken with a soft chest and a strong spine doesn't hurt you. It frees you. Keep your flame. Walk toward what's real. The life that fits you is waiting in the light you refuse to dim.